Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, with coming with the most important type of extended writing, that is report writing in the syllabus of English First Language 0500. And this question, as you already know, is taken from text C. And now let's look at the position of the question. That where will this question be placed in your paper? As far as the position of the question is concerned, this is part of paper 1 with the weightage of 50%. And the total marks for this paper are 80. Duration allotted for this paper will be 2 hours. In 2 hours, you will be asked to do 3 questions. So the most important hurdle as well as challenge in this paper is the time management. At the end of the video, I will be sharing the sample answer of report writing. It is a technical question. It is also challenging. It has lots of peculiarities. Please stay tuned and watch the complete video for the complete understanding of report writing. This will also help you to develop your understanding of report writing in the directed writing question. So this is an important video. As far as first question of this paper is concerned, it will be about a comprehension passage which is called text A and the summary task which is called text B. Both of them carry 15 marks each. Second question, it's a short question of and a language question which is called 2D, and the short question is called 2C. 2C has 10 marks and the language question has 15 marks, a total of 25 marks. And the last question is called extended writing, which carries 25 marks. The important thing about extended writing is that there is no choice in this question. Whatever type you will get, you will have to do justice with that. And let me tell you that this question and the answer that you will write for this will be a grade changer for you. Once you will do this question best, your whole grade will be improved as a result of that question. Now, there are different types of extended writing. Any one can come in the paper. The names have been displayed on the screen in front of you. Letter, journal, speech, interview, magazine article, or newspaper. And today's topic is report writing. It is a compulsory question. Again, I am repeating. So, best preparation for this answer for this question is required to achieve A star. Word limit or space limit allotted for this question 200 to 250 to 350 words. Now, how will you manage this much number of words? You will write around 2 to 3 sides of the page. You must have an analysis as to how much space do you use while writing 100 words. Please make a very accurate analysis of this number of words. This will help you saving the trouble of counting the number of words in the examination. As far as report writing is concerned, as I have already told you that it is a challenging question and it is also less popular. But Cambridge examiners are always unexpected and we don't know that which type they might ask you in the exam. So my advice is that my dear students, please don't take any risk. Please don't do any experimentation and manage your time, manage the accuracy of techniques in such a way that you are doing justice with the efforts of your parents as well as your teachers. And this result of English and mathematics is going to be crucial for SAT exam and for university admissions as well. So the biggest hurdle will be the time management, and as much practice as you would have of the whole paper under time limit, as much convenient and relaxed you will feel during the paper. Now let's look at the writing assessment objectives of this question. Why you need to look at them? Because until and unless you know the demand of the examiner, how can you attempt the answer according to the demand? Therefore, let's look at the demand. There are 5 writing assessment objectives. W1, W stands for writing. W2, W3, W4, W5. You will not be asked to write these assessment objectives in the paper, but if you will keep them in your mind, then you will keep your language on the track and you will attempt the answer according to the examiner's expectations. The first writing assessment objective is that you should be able to express whatever is in your thoughts and imaginations, and what are your feelings or the feelings of the character that has been assigned to you. The second writing assessment objective is organization and structuring of your ideas and opinions in order to achieve the desired effect. The third writing assessment objective is the excellent usage of vocabulary and sentence structure. Many students repeat the mistake of starting the sentences again and again with the same word. The examiner has clearly told in the writing assessment objective that the sentence structure should be varied and the vocabulary should be according to the task, according to the receiver, neither too difficult nor too easy. We will be discussing these points in detail as we move along. And the next writing assessment objective is register, which is also called tone, which is very important because if you will use some one wrong word, for example, if you call the principal you again and again, your whole tone will be spoiled. In the same way, if you will use I repeatedly in a report, your tone will be spoiled. I will be sharing further detail. Let's move on. And as far as the accuracy of spelling, punctuation, and grammar, SPG is concerned, that is something which is not going to be compromised by the Cambridge examiners. Therefore, strive for excellence and strive for accuracy for these three things. So, these were the writing assessment objectives. Now, let's look at the structure of extended writing. Many students start making too many paragraphs or they make just one or two paragraphs. You see, these questions are technical. They all have a desired pattern and you should come up to that. There must not be any change in that. As far as the structure of writing, extended writing is concerned, the regular pattern is 5 paragraphs with introduction and conclusion as the first and the last paragraph. In between is called the body of extended writing of any type, and it should have 3 paragraphs with bullet point 1 in the second paragraph, bullet point 2 in the third paragraph, and bullet point 3 in the fourth paragraph, because the first paragraph was taken for writing the introduction. But one thing I have written in red color, that this pattern changes except in 2 types. This pattern does not follow in 2 types. And what is the name of that type? In report and interview. It means that in report and interview, you will be writing just 3 paragraphs. I repeat that in report and interview writing, only 3 paragraphs related to the 3 bullet points will be written, and the word limit will remain the same. It means that very few lines and very few words you will be spending on writing introduction and conclusion in the remaining types. So remember this structure very well and follow it appropriately. The sample that I will be sharing with you at the end would be written in 3 paragraphs according to this structure. Now, these are some of the useful tips to achieve the best score in extended writing. The best score in extended writing. Number one tip is that you should follow the structure which I have told you. That for magazine article, there should be 5 paragraphs. For letter, there should be 5 paragraphs. But for report, there should be only 3 paragraphs. And all bullet points should be equal. How can you make the answer of bullet points equal? When you will make equal number of content points in them. The detail of each bullet point should be equal. It means that 5 content points per bullet point. No introduction required for report. Understand the concept of explicit and implicit meaning. Why? Because the first two bullet points relate with the explicit meaning. Explicit means the surfacery, the vivid, the obvious, and the explicit meaning. Whereas the implicit means the hidden meaning. The answer to the third bullet point, you will find very little information to implicit meaning to the third bullet point in your text. Why? Because it is implicit. So therefore, don't feel panic in the exam or in the class test when you don't find answer to the third bullet point, because you should know it very clearly that this is an implicit bullet point. The answer is not lying in the text. The examiner is asking for your views, for your opinions, for your evaluation, for your suggestions. That is why it is called implicit meaning. The last bullet point needs maximum attention. You know that when there is some difficulty in the question and in the answer, the examiner gives more weightage to that student, to that student who will answer that difficulty accurately. So in the extended writing, any type of question, if you want to obtain maximum marks, number one, your structure should be correct. Number two, you should follow the explicit and implicit meaning accurately. And last, the most important thing is that your third bullet point should be the best. And the three bullet points in the three paragraphs should be almost equal in length. This is also very important for maximum marks in this question. The formula that you should be using is 5 content points per bullet point. In each paragraph, you should be mentioning 5 content points. When you will mention 5 content points per bullet point, the length of each paragraph would definitely be equal. And my dear student, you are advised to do paraphrasing of those ideas. It means that you should avoid wholesale copying and you should express the ideas in maximum own words. Variation of sentence structure is mandatory, meaning the starters should be different, the length of the sentences should be different, not the same boring, repetitive pronoun or article the should be there at the start of every sentence. SPG accuracy is essential. These points which I have shared with you, honestly, these are going to be extremely beneficial to obtain maximum score in the extended writing question, no matter what the type is. This is the detail of what I have just tried to explain briefly in my previous slide. As far as the explicit meaning is concerned, it means who, what, where, and how. These details relate to explicit meaning. As far as the development or the third bullet point is concerned, this relates to implicit meaning, where you describe the feelings of the character, or you describe your own reactions, or you tell the reason as to why this thing happened. These two terms you have to remember very clearly in the whole reading paper, because throughout explicit and implicit words and meanings will be utilized and understood. Now, as you know that there is a formula, there is an acronym which we use when we attempt any kind of extended writing question. This formula is called WARP. You can say VARPF. It is not a word, it is an acronym. Acronym means it is a short form of what? For example, V, voice, A, audience, R, register, P, purpose, F, format. This is the formula that you have to apply with pencil on your question paper. This will help you adopt the best writing style suitable for the task you are given. I am going to briefly explain as to what is the voice. Voice means the person, the role that you are adopting, the character that you are adopting, how he will communicate, what will be his personality like, how he will talk. That will be the voice. In this question, unlike directed writing, you are not yourself. Rather, you speak in the voice of that character which the examiner has assigned to you. Sometimes you might be a girl student, but you are speaking in the voice of a boy. Or sometimes you are speaking in the voice of an elderly person like grandfather. So your role will change, your voice will change, your tone will change according to the demand of the question. Audience means the receiver to whom you are writing. And register means tone, as already I have told you that as far as report writing is concerned, it does not require informal language or informal tone. But unlike report, there is journal writing and other types about which I have made separate videos. In that, you can use informal tone. So, register means tone according to the type, according to the demand. You will use either formal or informal tone, but excessively formal or extremely informal, both tones are to be avoided. There should be a balance in your communication, and you should not be adopting extremes of any kind. Purpose. You should be very clear in your mind as well as on your paper as to why you are attempting this question. What is the purpose? Mostly, you know that reports are meant to inform. Sometimes they are even meant to persuade or to argue. In speech writing, you are arguing. In letters, you are informing. In journal writing, for example, while writing a diary, you might be entertaining or you might be recalling some of the events that took place in your life. So, different types of writings have different purposes. According to the question, you will read it carefully and understand that what is the purpose of the question assigned. Then, what text type you have been asked to attempt, and what is the format of that? I will be sharing the format of report writing. Report briefly, I have told you that there should be just three paragraphs with subheadings also, that I will come after a few minutes. Then this will help you adopt the best writing style. When you have understood the verb, then you will apply it onto a question. I will be doing it in front of you, and then you will answer your question accordingly. Now, this is the question, my dear student, which I have taken from the past paper, and I have underlined and highlighted the key words of the question, and then we will apply the formula of verb onto it. Now, you see, as I have told you, that you will not be yourself, you will be that character. So, here you are performing the role of Edgar. How would you know that who was Edgar? What kind of interest and aptitude did he have? You will read text C carefully. You have to read text T three times in the paper while answering to C, while answering to D, and while answering extended writing. So the examiner demands that you have read it very thoroughly and you are not making blunders. You are well aware of your character. You should be aware of the kind of language that he uses. If he uses slangs, then you can use. Otherwise, you are totally forbidden to use slang. And I have told you in my previous videos also that Cambridge does not produce a slangy character before audience like you, because you people in your grade level already you people are very fond of using slangs. So the examiner is not going to use a slangy character with who uses slangy language. Now, the question is that night you write the report that your boss has asked for. So, who is the receiver? Who is the question? The person who is going to receive your report? He is an authoritative person. He is a boss. So, remember very carefully that reports always have authoritative receivers. Reports are meant to be read by authoritative people. So he has asked for about the work, and this is a project which is named as Meet and Greet Team. In your report, you should. Now you see that Meet and Greet Team is a name. It has been written in the proper style of heading with capital M, capital G, and capital T. Similarly, you should also write this word when you will repeat it in your answer, because reports demand formal language. Explain what the role of meeting and greeting passengers involves at present. Now you see at present, it means that the question itself has demanded from you to use present tense. And here what the word what tells us, that is this is a explicit question. This is demanding explicit meaning from us. So the second bullet point is evaluate potential problem. Potential means possible for both meet and greet staff and passengers. The word and I have highlighted. Even the examiner would have highlighted this word, because and means that both these questions have to be answered. Yani the problems have to be answered from the point of view of staff as well as passengers. And the last bullet point, the implicit bullet point, the word how tells you about the fact that it is demanding implicit meaning. The word suggest tells you that it is demanding implicit meaning. Suggest means that you have to give the impression of what you got from this information, from this about this information from the passage. So how the experiences of both passengers and meet and greet staff could be improved. The model verb could be suggests that there should be a possibility, there is a possibility in the answer is not lying directly, hints will be there, and you will be giving your suggestions according to your own general knowledge, according to your own common sense. And write the words of the report. Word limit, I have told you, it's 350. You can exceed a little bit, but too much exceeding will definitely create more mistakes. So remain within the word limit. Base your report on what you have read in text C, but be careful to use your own word and address each of the three bullet points. Examiner has not written the word equally over here, but if you keep that in mind, then your answer will be the best. Now I have applied that formula. What I explained orally in the previous slide, I have written it. So the voice is that of an Edgar. And who is an Edgar? Who is Edgar? Edgar is an employee. And who is the receiver of this report? He is a boss. He is a person of high authority or high status. What is the purpose of this report? To inform. What will be the register? Obviously, when you are talking to you are not talking, I'm sorry, you are presenting something in written form. So it should be respectful, it should be formal, and it should be serious. That should be the tone and register adopted in this answer. Keeping the audience in mind, stop being critical when giving suggestions. Even when you are making suggestions of disagreement, your tone should be respectful. Otherwise, the boss will definitely be angry. And obviously, he will not accept your suggestions if your tone is disrespectful. It's a matter of common sense. And the format, it should be very formal, because this text type, report writing, is a formal text type, and it is objective at the same time neutral. These are some of the words which I have written before you, which sum up the nature of reports register. Reports register means the tone which will be adopted in report writing. These words, you can take the screenshot. These are the words which I have been speaking in my video regarding the tone, that it should be formal, it should be impersonal. Impersonal means that you will not be writing I repeatedly, you will be saying it is suggested instead of saying I am suggesting. It should not have emotions. It should be unemotive. It should be neutral. It means that you should not be taking sides until and unless the examiner demands from you your views and opinions in directed writing. But here it is extended writing. You have to answer the bullet points in a neutral tone. And you should remain objective. You must not be giving subjective viewpoint. You should be talking like a professional. You should be writing like a professional. It should have clear stance. It should be using clear language. No such slangs, no unclear expressions will be used. And concrete, meaning solid information, will be provided. You will not be saying repeatedly, maybe it is like that. You should not be giving such vague information. And the details should be precise and accurate. It should be direct and serious, authoritative, impartial, meaning that there should not be any prejudice in your opinion. And lastly, it should not be reserved. So these were the words that you are to keep in mind while writing report, so that your register is according to the demand of the examiner. Now let's learn how to make subheadings in report. As far as the format of report is concerned, there are just three paragraphs that you have to write, and each paragraph should have a subheading. Now, how will you make subheading? This is a very interesting slide and useful for you also. For example, the answer is that how can you make subheadings? By turning the bullet points into subheadings. You will not create something on your own. You will simply change the bullet points into subheadings. I have given you three examples. Take a screenshot. One, two example I will explain. The third one you can read yourself, and you will then understand how to make subheadings on your own. Explain what the role of greeting and meeting passengers involves at present. This was the bullet point. This was written down in the question, on the question paper. How will you make the subheading? you will say the present role of meeting, greeting the passengers. So you see, explain, you cut, what you cut, and the role of greeting and meeting passengers. This is what was your first subheading. Second bullet point was evaluate the potential problem for both meet and greet staff and members, and your subheading would be potential problem for both meet and greet staff and members. And lastly, suggest how, and the answer is suggested improvements. So you got the method how to make the subheadings. In the report, you will be making subheadings very clearly. I am informing this to everyone. What should be the rules of paragraphing in report? We have discussed it, 3 paragraphs, and 1 paragraph means 1 bullet point. Each paragraph should be equal in size. Each section should stay focused on its aim, not that the heading and the subheading is something else and your answer is talking about something else. So remain tuned, remain focused. These are the language peculiarities which you have to take care while attempting report. And these are very important and a little bit, you can say, complex. But once you will listen carefully, everything will become easy. This is my guarantee. These are the transitional phrases that you have to use. Transitional phrases are like, you can say, connectors, like starting expressions that you use at the start of different sentences. In the sample answer also, I have highlighted them. For example, when you are closing things, so you will say finally. When you are further elaborating, you will say furthermore. When you are making a similar point, you will say likewise. You will say following this. And you have to use formal business vocabulary, not informal, slangy, or relaxed language, because this is report writing. It is formal piece of communication. The receiver is authoritative person, and the tense which is preferably used in report writing is present tense, because you are not narrating an incident, you are talking about current things, and you will be using present tense. As far as the question of using I or not I is concerned, the answer is that no I. And how to evade I? By writing your sentences in the passive voice. Examples will be shared. This is just a heading of all the points which I am going to talk about in the later slides. Then modal verbs can also be used. What are modal verbs? The example of modal verbs will be shared, which includes the words like may, could. And why modal verbs will be used, I will explain that. And lastly, some generalizers can also be used. Generalizer means that majority of the people, general people, what do they say? What is the opinion of the majority of the people? And could is also a modal verb that can also be used. Now I will be talking about the detail of all these points individually in separate slides. Now, the example and the explanation of using present tense. Use present tense verb while discussing problems or situations that have not yet been resolved. You should use present tense. Even if the question is in the past tense, you should use present tense while discussing a current issue. This is an important point. That is why I have written it in the bold. Many students ask this question about the tense that they are going to use. The question will be in the past tense, but the answer related to the present and current issues will be in the present tense. Now, this is an example of how present tense has been used in that scenario. Luggage checking is also a priority, as staff must ensure, not ensured. You will not write past tense. In the same way, meet and greet staff give helpful information, not they gave. Gave will not be used. In the same way, helping to ensure a smooth and stress-free experience for all travelers. So this is how you will be using present tense. What kind of punctuation marks you are to avoid in report writing? You see, this is the most unique kind of extended writing type, even of directed writing type. Once you will watch and listen this video carefully, your directed writing question of report writing will also become excellent. So you have to avoid two kinds of exclamation mark and ellipsis. These are the two kinds of punctuation marks which you are not supposed to use in report writing. Why? There is a reason for that. There should be a logic behind every rule, and the logic is that these punctuation marks are basically linked and used in spoken English. When we are exclaiming something with surprise, We use exclamation at the mark at the end. And when we are ellipsis means three dots. These are the this is the sign of ellipsis. So this is also used to express emotions. When you are expressing your emotions, you put dot dot dot. Yeah, sometimes you leave something unexplained. So these two punctuation marks are to be avoided because we don't want to include our emotions in report. We want to remain formal. The next point is that no contraction should be there in report writing. Why? Why not? Because again, you are writing in the formal language. Formal language, standard English does not have any space for short forms or contraction. Instead of writing it isn't, you will write it is not. Instead of saying this won't, you will say this will not. Instead of saying it wasn't, you will say it was not. The reason why you will not use contractions, the reason I have given, contractions are used in informal writing. That is why you use them in the informal letter. They are also used in dialogues in spoken language. They will not be used in formal written communication like report. Then you also should avoid phrasal verbs. Now let's look at what are phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs are a type of verb that, sorry, there is a typing error of THAT, which combines a base verb with a preposition. Base verb means the base verb, like you see, take is a base verb and we can make it took, or we can make it taken, or we can make it take over, something like that. Base verb means the origin verb. With a preposition, we add it with a verb or some other particle to create a new verb. When we add the base verb with something else like a preposition, so what will be made? Phrasal verb will be made. So in report, we have to avoid phrasal verb. You can look at the examples and then this thing will become clear to you. Instead of saying pick up, these are the two verbs. Pick was the base verb and up was the preposition. What you should be writing? Lift, because the one word lift sums up the meaning of pick up. I will tell you the reason why you have to do that. Don't worry. Instead of saying take over, you will say assume or control. Instead of saying bring up or brought up, you will say mentioned earlier. Bumped into is a phrasal verb and you will say collided, one word, because this is more formal and this expresses the meaning more clearly. Instead of saying points out, you will say identifies. Instead of saying carried out, you will say executed. The reason, let's look at the reason. Because phrasal verbs are used in informal writing and speech, so they can be less suitable for formal writing like report. Useful phrases for making suggestions. Every time when you are going to make a suggestion in your report, whether in directed writing or extended writing, make a note of these phrases. These are excellent phrases which will help you to start your sentences in a different way instead of saying, I want to make this suggestion. This is absolutely wrong in report. You will not start your sentence with I. You will use phrases like this. It is suggested. Instead of suggested, you can say it is proposed. The idea to put forward something is presented according to our findings. You see, you will not say my findings, I have found this. You will not say there would be many benefits if we did something. Doing something would be really beneficial. Many problems could be solved. So you see, these are the starter expressions to give suggestions in your report. Modal verbs can be used. Why modal verb will be used? Because they are used before the base form of another verb to indicate the speaker's attitude toward the possibility or likelihood or necessity of the action. Now let's look at the example. Then I hope this point will also become clear. Let's first look at the examples of modal verbs. They are words like may, can, could, may, might, shall, should, will, would, must, ought to. So these verbs you can use. Purpose of using them, that is very important. They help to convey subtle shades of meaning and attitude. Subtle means hidden. They express doubt about a situation. So when you are making suggestions, when you are You think that you are not 100% sure, but this is your suggested point. Over there you can use these phrases. For example, this suggestion may result in the improvement of working conditions for staff, and this will also make your tone polite instead of being very harsh and strict. Model verb, what purpose will it serve? It will make your tone polite. What you have to avoid in report writing is no slangs, no spoken language, no informal language, no gonna wanna, no OMG or oh my god, no hi, no mobile texting language, or no buddy. Such words are to be avoided. That's why I have used the color red. What is to be avoided? Now, these are the transitional words that you can use in any directed writing, in any extended writing, but specifically in report writing, because these are smart connectors which help you start your sentence, and they give you a direction to your paragraph, that what will be the main idea of that paragraph. When you are talking about similar points, you will be choosing any one of these words. When you are giving reason for something, you will be choosing any one of these words. And when you are giving contrary point of view, you will be using any one of these words. Take a screenshot, memorize them, use them in your writing. Your grade will be uplifted. This is my promise. Generalizers can also be used. Generalizer means that general comments, like many staff have suggested. It means that this is not only my opinion. When you just say that I think so, it means that you have minimized your focus, you have minimized your vision. When you say many are of the view, many people think so, then they will be weighted in your opinion. So you should be using generalizers, like other travelers observed that, the majority of staff stated that. You can even say state. When you will be writing it in the report, you can change the tense according to your paragraph. So, another point that you have to remember in report is that there should be passive voice in your answer. Instead of active voice, you will be writing passive voice sentences. Two examples I have shared. One I will be reading. The second one you can read through your screenshot example. The example is that researchers have discovered that excessive social media use can lead to increased symptoms of anxiety and depression. This was a simple sentence, active voice sentence. Now you will change the gear of this sentence by changing it into passive voice. You will say, it has been discovered. Who has discovered? Researchers. It has been discovered by researchers. The remaining sentence will be the same, that excessive social media use can lead to increased symptoms of anxiety and depression. So this is the example of active sentences and changing them into passive voice. And here is the most awaited thing of the whole video. This is the sample answer of May June 24 0500 and I'm not going to read the complete answer. You can take the screenshot. It has just, I will be showing you the first the picture of the three paragraphs, that all the three paragraphs start with a subheading. You don't have to write this first bullet point, first paragraph. This I have just shared it in my notes. The happenings during evening exploration and the measures taken to ensure tourists' comfort. You see, this is the first subheading, and I have just highlighted some of the key words which have been used. This has been written by one of my students. As the story unfolds, you see, I am not going to write that I am going to tell you a story. Nevertheless, connector may have been. For this reason, characters are exercised passive voice as mentioned before. You will not say I repeatedly mentioned it. Yeah, I mentioned it earlier. It is worth noting. Lastly, this is an excellent sample, my dear students, and you will read it. And after reading the question from this paper, when you will read it, you will get absolute clear picture of report writing. This is the second bullet point in the form of second paragraph, starting with the second subheading, the different things offered that tourists enjoy about the holiday and why. So in this question, there was a why, and additionally are prompted to navigate. As history has shown, these starters are excellent because no I you can find in this answer. Even unsurprisingly, with growing interest, the answer to the second bullet point has been mentioned. And now the third bullet point in the form of third paragraph, starting with the third subheading, the various concerns about using dogs to pull sleds are unfounded and this form of transport is important to protect. Have you noticed that the length of the three paragraphs is equal and there are smart connectors at the start of majority of the sentences like moreover, also. It is important to realize, lastly, to conclude. You see such beautiful answer the student has written. Take a screenshot, attempt the paper, read it. Don't miss any type unattempted. My heartiest wishes are for all the students who are going to take their exams in 2025 and onwards. Best of wishes. Allah Hafiz.